Well, hello again, everyone. This is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the Nautilus Dry Docks, and as my name implies, this video and channel is dedicated to the world of RC submarines. Welcome to my weekly update video. We get Shark done, which is basically ready to go. I just need to trim and test him. Humpty, as he's come to known. We're getting that big Russian Typhoon back on the workbench to get the new ballast system and ballast system controller installed. So that should be fun. Hopefully that's going to be coming up here this week. And then after that, we're going to be moving on to a Russian Victor 3 build, which is bare hull. So we're going to be starting from scratch on that one. All right, first up this morning, and the sun's just coming up. It's a little dark out there, but before it gets too hot, I want to drop Humpty in the pool, see where my best guesstimate for the flotation and ballast worked out, and trim this sucker out and get him working in the pool. All right, it's time to drop the shark in the pool for the very first time. So he's a little heavy in the stern. We need to grab some foamage, I think, or maybe some weight. No, we need weight. Weight in the nose. No, foam in the back. All right, this is where I kind of want him to float. Little tail down, because he does have a tendency to dive. So getting the nose down is not going to be a problem. We got positive buoyancy. So I got 2 chunks of foam in the back. I just need to properly secure those in that tail section. Then I got a bunch of weight in his mouth, which I can adhere to the bottom of his jaw. So now that I got this trim thing figured out, we're going to bring her back in the shop, properly secure all those weights, and then bring it back for some pool operations. So here I am, forging ahead. Full sails ahoy, and going through the water at Mach 10, and forgot something. So these tail sections need to have stoppers in, otherwise poor shark looks like he's got a broken back because the tail bends too far. So you got to put these little spacers in here that stop the tail from rotating too far. Distance 22 millimeters. That'll be just about right. 22 for this smaller section. None of these need it because they stop correctly. This secondary joint, 22 millimeters. Now we need to do the same for this one. But before I can do these measurements, I just want to make sure that this foam is completely adhered. So you can see I got some clamps on there and some silicone curing so that those get fixed in place permanently. Part 2, big one. 38 millimeters is what you're after here, boys and girls. And when you put this on, you get like I can't put the pin in because I've only got one hand, but you get more limited travel, so he's not like ugh. So we're gonna let this cook off, cure off. Shouldn't be too long. And the other one's done already. That's been put in. Weights have been secured in the front. Basically, once he's cured up here in a few minutes, he's ready for the pool again. Back outside at the top secret test facility with Humpty, getting ready for her inaugural run in the open water here. Should, in theory, be all trimmed out and ready to go. So nothing to do now but dump her in the water, see how she does. Humpty is absolutely perfect. Check that action out. Now bear in mind I'm driving this thing one-handed, which is in theory all you need, but it's a little easier to hold the transmitter with 2 hands. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about hull pass-throughs, and our subject is the Lotus. So what I've got here is a power distribution bar here. This is all brass, positive and negative, isolated bars, and we got a positive and a negative wire connected to them. This is also a lighting lead that is likewise connected. So what I've got here, I need to put power to that bar, and I need to put it into this waterproof box. To that end, I've drilled a couple of 5/32 holes, and I'm going to use some 5/32 brass tube to run in there. So it can be flush on the inside, but you need at least 1/4 of an inch, maybe more like 3/8 of an inch on the outside. So give me a minute. I'm going to put 2 in there, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, focus. These have been pressed into place and thin CA wicked at the base. And you want thin CA so that capillary action totally encapsulates this and seals it on this case. And then what I did, I put a little drop of silicone oil inside this little piece of silicone tube. Now, when you're sourcing this, the tube needs to be tight over the wire. It can't be loose, okay? Push the wire through the tube, and then what you can do is just push that piece of silicone over the wire, and now you have a waterproof connection. What you can do after that is put like a zip tie around there, and that'll add extra compression around that piece of silicone tube. So there's another project on my bench, but just temporarily until I move it. This is an RCSubGuy from Otto, Virginia class submarine. The customer just dropped this off. He said there's absolutely no rush, can take months and months and months for me to finish it. He started work on it, but just got totally confused and backwards. This is not an easy kit to put together. He did a pretty credible job though with linkages. He made a really cool magnetic cover plate here for the linkages and everything. Really is just the final stuff, so it won't take long. This is the kind of thing I may pick at, you know, in between glues and whatever, but for now it's gonna go away. But just a super cool boat. I've done lots of Seawolves. I don't know that I've ever done a Virginia. I don't remember. Do you guys remember? Have I ever done a Virginia? I don't know. You'd think it'd be a common boat, but there's really not any kits out there, except the new one from Submarine Works. It's on my website. Just got listed. Super cool kit. Let's take a look at the Lotus. This is where we're at. Wait, hold on a second. So dirty. I've created all of the leads for the electronic speed controllers. I want you to note something here. The positive lead and the programming leads have been cut, so it's just signal and ground to these two. This one has just one of the power leads in. The rest of them are cut. Signal and power, they're grouped together here as well. So these are acting as a pair. These are acting as a pair. Go through here. This has been glued and sealed and everything. Run to the R9SX. This is my personal radio, X20S. I created a new model for it, and it's actually working. I've got these all rigged up together. Got the rudder output, which you can't see. It's going under there. Trust me. And the motors are going. Now, what I need to tough through in my noggin is the programming required to mix all of this stuff together. So I talked about this idea before of using the rudder as a mix for the dive planes so that it'll bank into turns. I think that'd be super cool. And then I need to rig up the differential throttles, but I think I'm going to put that on a switch, a logic switch, so that if I'm just burning around at full throttle, I got full speed. Because with the differentials, when you hit some rudder, you lose power on one side. I don't want that. I want full throttle. So I'm going to play with that when the switch gets kicked, goes into differential mode, and you can do stationary turns and all that stuff. But I'm super excited on how this is turning out. I got to mess around with the LED lights, of which this is the lead I told you about for power for them. And I gotta play with this. So up front there's going to be some amber LEDs here, and then in the back these are split in like backup light, brake lights, and turn signals. So what I might do is drill this out, grind it out, and then 3D print a bucket that'll break them up. And then the other thing, obviously, if I just drill a hole and put an LED, it'll just be a little circle. I want this all to light up. And then the other thing I did is I made a list of decals, so stickers that I'm going to need to come up with. License plates, the Lotus emblem, the Esprit emblem, to really make this thing look cool. Well, it's Tuesday morning, and it's been like a slow start off the blocks this morning. Had a bunch of orders and emails and paperwork and receipts that I needed to do. Last night, though, and I didn't get on video, I put a base coat of paint on the Lotus. Now, the bottom already got a coat of paint, and it's looking good. I did a second coat on the upper. What's pissing me off? It's the same paint, and it was allowed to cure for 12 hours before coats, and I still got crazing. Just pissing me off. It'll be fine, though. Most of it looks really, really good. Gonna let this dry for most of the day because I don't really have much to do on there. It's gonna get, after the decals and everything are on there, it'll get a coat of gloss clear, which is gonna make it look really, really, really good. And the other thing I got going for it is this case. Grabbed it off Amazon. It was pretty cheapish, 100 and some odd bucks. Fits the boat perfectly. Reason I'm doing this is I want to bring this up to Groton, Connecticut, and maybe Carmel if I end up going up to Carmel. But I need to be able to bring it on the plane safely. So I'm going to be doing some cutouts for the foam, putting this in, making it look super cool and tight and safe for the journey. Look who stopped in for a surprise visit.
Hey yo.
So this is that Virginia I showed you guys yesterday, and so this is like bonus work. I don't even have to bring it away because Jason's going to try and figure a cylinder out and see if we can knock this out super quick and get off my bench. It's like free work, kind of. Well, we have Jason back in the shop. He's doing some dimmering on the interior of the Nautilus because the salon doesn't fit unless it's perfectly flush.
He kind of overdid the glue.
Yeah. So
I'm fixing his problem.
yes, that's the way it works. I make the problem, he fix the problem. These are the taillight receptacles that I did for the Lotus. Backup light, the brake light, and the signal light are all going to be wired up, as you can see, with the 5mm LEDs, white, red, and amber. So kind of doing that right now, and I'm just going to drill out in the front and then paint these orange as well. So I'll have the lighting all done. Got paint on the boat. It's kind of hard to see right now, but that's been painted, and we just threw paint on the upper hull, so that's drying now. Probably let that dry till tomorrow, I think. But we're gonna rig up some lights in the meantime, and maybe, no, I'm not. I was gonna say I'll start doing the rudders, but they're still wet. I gotta stop messing with wet paint. All right. away we go. So I work on Nautilus, which is cool. Jason gets to do my favorite thing in the whole universe and peel.
Oh, that's so satisfying.
I know. Swear we see how good of a job I did taping the thing. It's Thursday! Should have made a video before now. It's 10 o'clock in the morning already. Jason's back.
Hello.
And he is helping me make sure that the same thing doesn't happen to this boat as what happened to the last one. So we are fiberglassing up all the seams to the LXG Nautilus. Epoxy cloth. It's going to be pretty darn bulletproof when we're all done here.
That's the plan.
And at least that'll allow me to store it until I have a chance to really work on it in earnest. So we're going to get that all gooped up. Did a bunch of work on Nautilus. The video dropped yesterday. Some of you guys will have seen that. So salon's been installed. We're going to be going on to lights here in the next day or two. And some more progress on the Lotus. It's been painted. It's been cleared. I'm working on the tail lights. This is what we got put together here. So these are the tail light receptacles. And I just thought it would be kind of cool to have all the lights on. The backup lights, the brake lights, and the turn signals. So I got some acrylic sheet here with some clear acetate, or colored acetate. That's gonna make those colored, and then we'll frost them on the inside, and hopefully that'll look good. And then on the front, we've got our amber LEDs as well. We just painted the background there, and they'll just shine out here. They're just kind of cool. So we'll get all those rigged in, and they've got their own power port right there. Props are all attached and screwed in. I think this is going to move somewhat. This thing sounds like a drone.
Beast.
Yeah, I'm excited to get that in the water. I'm going to work on rudders now. Got 4 rudders to install. Get the rudder linkage right here. Run it out the back. Connect swivel stuff. Rudders complete. So this is what I came up with for linkages for the rudders. And they work surprisingly good. So, boy oh boy, boys, girls, creatures of indeterminate race and breed. All I got now are those tail lights, and then we're going to be off to trimming. Well, here she is in all her glory, but I did forget that I need to figure out how to hold the hull down. So that's going to have to be something that I figure out fairly soonish. But other than that, you can see we got some lightage going on. Should look really cool in the water. Man, that's exciting. So, oh, and then the other thing, this is an antenna that goes on the top, but obviously it'll break off all the time. So I made this magnetic. Just fits into a little recess in there. Bloop. So I can take it off when I transport it. But I think that's enough for today. I'm going to shut her down, and then we're going to work on some emails and such. See you tomorrow. So, starting the day out with a little bit of CAD work. Now, I was reached out to by a good friend up in New York whom we've done business with before, and he saw my Sequest build, and he really wants a big Sequest. Now, normally I would not be interested in this. Those files are like insane to work with. They're ultra high resolution. My poor computer's like dying. But because I've got this, and because the LXG boat turned out so good, I just had to play with it a little bit this morning. So from like 4 o'clock in the morning till about 5:30, I've been messing around with this. So this is the new 83-inch long Sequest files, but I think the neat thing about this is this should be able to be scaled to almost anything, and if it turns out good, I may consider offering these files for sale. I've got them set up so these have doors in the bottom here, and you can see it's all sectioned for printing with a maximum height of 250 millimeters, which fits my my bamboo printer here. So I've got the first section, this one right here, on the printer, getting printed out in that glass-filled ABS plastic. So we are going to see if this is going to work. You know, I've got the little 43-inch kit that I've had sitting around for years, waiting for me to build my own RC model. But having built that little one for Nathan, I want something bigger. I want something I can sink my teeth into, have some presence, make a ballast system, maybe actuate those fins. I don't know. Do a really cool lighting system with the windows light up, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Regardless, this is the kind of thing that I can just hit print and then go work in the shop. And when I come back, the part's on the printer. So we'll see how it turns out. Should be fun. Alrighty, in the shop getting set up for the day. I really want to get the Typhoon back on the bench. I was sent the proper wiring instructions for that TAE3 wiring system from Gregor Engel. Thanks, Gregor. That was awesome. So now we should be able to figure out how to get that thing wired up and functional, hopefully. Fingers crossed. What am I doing right now? The big LXG Nautilus. Gosh, that thing is impressive. Like, seriously impressive. I just we fiberglassed it yesterday. It's all cured up and everything. I just put a couple of tabs in there. I'm going to tape it. We're going to put it into short-term storage until such a time as I may be able to work upon it once again. I got to clean up these parts for a customer that ordered stand for his 48-inch Nautilus that he bought my old version, the old resin version. So these are printed in ASA plastic, which is sort of cool. Never printed in it before, but it's kind of neat. It's got like almost like a nylon feel to it. I'm going to probably move Nautilus off to the side, get this set up for Typhoon, and then quickly work on some hold downs for the Bond Lotus, because Nathan is coming over at about noon. And he's got some programming solutions for me to get this thing rigged up so that these will work in conjunction, and then these will work with the propeller majiggers, and get this thing working really cool. I really want to get that in the water. So as I work on these parts, just wanted to let you know of a new development. If you guys were interested in that gigantic 1/32 Gato Baleo that ran through, or the second one that ran through, I got news for you. There's 2 more chances. These things are coming out of the woodwork, like all over the place. These aren't RTR boats, but they are hulls. The first one was just listed. It's a 32nd parallel hull, and it's got the old school electronics and components in it. Big fiberglass hull, obviously. So check that out. It's on the website right now. $2,600. It's a pretty good deal, because you are not going to find another fiberglass hull of the Gato Baleo anywhere that you look. The other one from the same seller, by the way, is a gigantic 3D printed hull, 32nd scale in PLA plus of the Gato Baleo. The details are amazing. I believe he's looking for $2,000 for that. So that is another option for you too. You could build it out as it is with that PLA plus, kind of nurse it a little bit, or you could, if you're, an ingenious kind of person, you could lay up some molds and get a big fiberglass hull. And whatever you want. So just wanted to let you know It's out there, coming down the tubes. All right, easy. Hey, cleaned up the bench. It's so nice and soft. You guys remember I had that kind of busy, steampunky tablecloth before? It made it hard to find bolts and stuff that I lost. So if you are going to cover your work surface with a towel or a blanket, single color, that's what you want. And if you get a little pile to it, like a towel, if you drop something, it'll kind of stick and stay as opposed to bounce, 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 and fall on the floor. There you go. Little helpful tip for you from dry docks. Okay, hold downs for this. Now, I was thinking about a lot of different things here. The first and likely way I'm going to go is with these magnets. You can see I got these disc magnets in here. We've got a nice flush surface that is large enough to accommodate them. Put the top on, lock down. But not locked, per se. I can get it really solid, but then you got to fight to open it. So there's this balance point you got to do. Now, the other thing is a mechanical fastener that you could potentially end up using. And I thought about, putting something on top of the box that would go up and you would bolt, through the roof, but then you got a big bolt in the roof of the vehicle, and I don't want that. So I am going to go with magnets. And the reason for that is that there is not going to be a lot of buoyant force applied to the upper hull. Typically, you don't want to use magnetic connections for hulls because the buoyancy is pulling up, the weight of the boat is pulling down, and if they separate, you've lost your boat. The flotation in this, I think, is going to provide 90% of the buoyancy needed to get this to, slightly positive buoyancy levels. So there's going to be very little foam that I'm going to need to put in the upper hull. And the other thing I could potentially do, depending on where the foam needs to be, I could actually put the foam on this box, and then it's basically part of the lower hull. In that case, the hull is basically just sitting on the lower hull with no force trying to, take it apart. So I am going to start drilling some holes for these magnets and see if we can get this thing locked down. Okay, I just want to show you how I'm doing this. So I started on the bottom hull, I drilled the holes, and these are all flush mounted. All right, they're supposed to be flush mounted. 6 mil in this particular case, and went all the way around. So just to make sure I get my polarities correct, I have the pairing magnets that I put on the top, so I know which way goes where for all of the magnets. And then I can take measurements for the distance from the inside lip and then the distance from the nearest orienting pin and drill the corresponding holes. So you can see I've already got those in the back. I just finished drilling these ones out. So what I'm going to do, I want to show you how we're going to do this here. I just put a little bit of rubber reinforced cyano in there. Grab my magnet. Now I've roughed up the back surface there with a sanding drum on my rotary tool. And that way I know which way it goes in. And it'll also give a lot of purchase for the magnet. There we go. Just like that. So you can continue to do that. I got 6 planned here so far, so I still got to drill these ones. But in theory, once we're done, we'll have a nice positive lockdown on the hull. Let's see if that's the case. Think I got it. It's been bolted down, and I can grab it just from the upper hull and lift the whole thing right up off the table. So that's plenty of force. And then to get in, I can just kind of press on the bumper, give it a little upward force, and off it comes. Boom! I think I keep running into problems with like the cheap Chinese parts. I put the Dean connector for the lighting, and it just like fell apart. Like fell apart. What the heck? So now I gotta swap that out. This one still looks good. Double check and make sure this fits on there. But like, I don't need this. I already did this work. I don't need to do it twice. Ugh. Okay, this is the transport, I guess, and storage case that we're going to be using for the Lotus. I should come up with a cool sticker for this. Yes, definitely. And this is the sub in its cradle. You can see I got a little pocket for the antenna right there, so we don't lose it. And then there's a secondary piece of foam that goes in like that, just to make quadruple, quintuple, has septuple sure that nothing happens. And then when this comes down, it just puts just a nice amount of pressure on the roof, keeping it locked in place. So now I just got to wait for Nathan, do some programming on my radio. And then once that's done, I can put it in the top secret test facility. See where it sits? I think it'll sink a little bit. We're going to need to put a little foam in there, boys and girls. Need to put a little foam. And maybe this weekend we can get it wet. I don't know. We'll see. Weekends are usually busy. Maybe next week. But regardless, it's going to get in the water pretty darn soon. So I was goofing around with a label for the case. Found an image, printed it off on some sticker paper. And knowing that if it gets wet, it would run and do all that, I wanted to clear coat it. And I do that with the water slide decal paper, and works perfectly. Worked awesome on the Lotus, but apparently the vinyl sticker paper is not the same thing. Like, what the heck? It's like all rippled and half covered and half not covered, and I mean, the texturing looks cool, and if I knew it was going to protect the image, I'd be okay with it, but all of these areas have no coverage, so if it gets wet, which we're running submarine, so it will, it'll just run and look like a freaking mess. So much for that. Sorry, buddy. You're going in the garbage. Let me show you what I did instead. So here's the case now. Just put the sticker right on there and then covered it with a layer of packing tape. I mean, maybe not super pretty, but at least you know what it is now. Oh man, the big Sequest is looking awesome. Look at the finish on that thing. Perfect. So good. Well, that looks like a Typhoon sitting on the bench. And I went ahead and I've got the instructions for the hull sensor installation for the T3 system. Got the board in here, starting to hook up all of the leads and everything. So shouldn't take too long to hook everything up. And then before I bolt it and put it all down and make it look pretty, we'll throw some power to it and see if we can make it go. Beginning to get frustrated with this boat. So I took this thing back out again, and I got super excited because I rigged it all up, and when I turned it on, it retracted. Both of them retracted. It was awesome. When I go to extend them both, this one is working perfectly. This one was good. And then it started binding, and now, like, look at that piston rod. It's all out at like a crazy angle. I don't even know how or why it's doing that, but it's like it's jammed inside. So now I'm thinking I'm gonna have to undo all of this and take this whole piston tank apart and try and figure out what the heck is wrong that it's binding up inside. I've never heard of this. I've never seen this before. I have no idea how this would even happen. So this is the internal workings of the piston tank, and you can see the piece of spaghetti that is that main worm gear, like literally bent in a gigantic bow. All I can think of is that maybe at one time this got bottomed out at the far side of the cylinder, and then the force bent the rod And maybe that's why they ended up selling the project or something. I don't know, but I'm going to try backing this out and straightening out this rod in the hopes that it can be salvaged. So this is the extracted plunger. I'm going to try and gently massage it back into place using a combination of the vise, pads, and ultimate skill to try and get that straight. Okay, well, here is the result of my 2.5 minutes of effort. It looks awfully straight to me. The end of this was cocked like that. So I managed to bend that back into shape too. Now I'm going to see if I can re-thread it, and I'm going to listen for, binding. What was happening before when it was bent so sharply here, the threads were, pinched together and it would bind really bad. So I'm going to see if I can put this back together again. Hey, maybe I'll get it on film. You can watch the hilarity ensue, and you can listen along and see if this helped or what the next step is. All right, protect the threads, grab the end, lock it in, and I'm jumpering the motor, so hopefully this will just screw right on. Woo! Just saved a few $100 buying a new cylinder. Success! All right, so wired it up. Ballast is just on the slider switch on the side here. So to go down, you go down, down. Diving, both are working. I've not run it all the way to the outside, so let's see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't bottom out again. Haha, perfect. Phew, holy. Okay, I spoke too soon. This stopped halfway. Extend, stop, retract. Why did it just stop? It needs to go all the way, not half the way. All right, so I was messing around with this, and I just moved it, and it sucked all the way in. So I extended it again, retracted again, it stopped again, but I gotta duplicate my fixing procedure. What is loose? This is all solid state in here, people. I wonder if the switches are just right on the cusp of... Yep. That's got to go down. This boat is going to be the death of me. All right, just got a few minutes before Nathan shows up, which I'm really excited about. But just going to continue on. I got the interior kind of put back together again, which is very, very good. It's good. It's a good thing. I want to put the antenna in. So this is the 2.4 gig antenna, and then we got the 900 megahertz antenna. The 2.4 gig is what's going to be utilized by the system for as long as it detects it when the boat is surfaced. So you get tremendous range, okay? But what I want to do is mount this above the surfaced water line, and that means going above the lid. So, to that end, I got a little brass tube. We're going to put the antenna up over top, get that all glued and mounted in, and then get the door, cut a hole, and make a little enclosure for it to keep the water wetness out of the electronic goodness. And there we go. Let's look real close. Can you see it? Can you see? There. Oh, there. No, there. That's the 2.4 gig antenna sticking right up. So it's basically right under the deck. And I made this flexible. Blah, 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 blah. So if you bump it or whatever, it's not going to break or crack. So even if this lays over, it's really not going to be a big deal. But if I'm not mistaken, this is where the sail is. So it's got some real estate to poke up through. So that has been done. I think now, where are we at? What are we doing? What are we doing? Focus. Focus. What are we doing? Saved from Deep Thoughts by Nathan showing up. Nathan's here. Look what he built. It's like, it looks super cool. It's too bad the servos aren't waterproof. We could put it in the water.
It is foaming.
So you rigged this up so that we could mock up my Bond boat.
Right.
Right? So...
Yeah. An easier way to do the programming, so I sit on the couch and watch TV and do it.
Right. Okay. So... So that's cool. So show me again how you got this rigged up. So these are our dive planes. They're mimicking our forward dive planes.
Forward and backward on the right stick.
Okay.
Then we got the rudder on the right stick, left and right. And then these mock up throttle.
Okay. So
this would be forward and backward.
Okay. All right.
What we're looking for was differential thrust. Right?
Differential thrust was one of the two asks. Correct.
Right. So I'm going to turn this up here, Sophie. Give it some forward, and then give it some left on the left stick.
Mm-hmm.
We see how the right
is
speeding up and the left is
slowing down. Yep.
We should turn this around.
Nice.
And I didn't really try the backwards one, but theoretically, you should do the same thing. So if we're going backwards, and we go to the right, that's backwards. We'll have to look at that.
And I don't know if they caught it, but you said the amount of gain you put on a knob, right?
Yeah. So for now, the gain is here. So we can go from 0, so you get almost nothing, to as much as we want. So you can try it, and then when you're happy with, oh, that's how much I want, you can take this number and then hard code it in.
Oh, gotcha.
Or you could leave it on here, but that kind of get weird.
Yeah, it could be.
Right. And also, now it also does negative, so it'll go backwards.
Right. Yeah.
So you probably don't want to leave that on, but for trials, that's the fastest way to get it to.
Yeah. Okay.
Then you want it to save for roll. So on the right stick, we give it some rudder.
Rudder.
So if we increase the gain here, we'll also get some bank. With the left plane going up, we should make it.
Oh, yeah.
And that too is on the potentiometer, so you can do as much or as little as you need till you get it figured out.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take much. I suppose if we really wanted to get complicated, we could also mix it to the throttle, right? So you have more throw the slower you go, and less the faster you go.
You could.
But that's awfully...
If this is working great, we'll make that phase 2.
Okay. that might really... Well, it's my boat, so maybe I'll take the time. All right, so this is cool. So let's bust into the Lotus. I'll grab my radio, and then you can show us the program.
Okay.
Okay, we rapidly ran out of time. I got to get ready for a doctor's appointment, and he had to go pick up a dog, but we got this done, and we actually got some programming for the bower tracks for the Typhoon done, and I did some really cool mixing with the throttles and the bow thrusters, but I'll show you that next week when we get to that. But I want to show you what we got rigged up on here. Now, one thing I noticed, this bolt came out, vibrated right out. Got a wiggly motor now, so I got this uncoupled, but you can at least see how things are working. So if we can dive, and now if we turn to the right, you see those rudders moving. Now also the dive planes are moving, but we figured this out though. This and this almost cancel each other out. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this banking. I'd have to totally redo all of the linkages, and I'm not going to do it. Worst case scenario, it will go up and down and left and right like this, and not up and down and left and right like this. So I'm not overly worried. And then we've got differential as well. So normally I can just kick the throttles in full throttle and awesome. But then if I use this stick, which is different than the rudder, this stick is differential steering, I can actually do stationary turns. And the gains are set up, so I can adjust the gains more or less. And then when we get that figured out perfectly, I get the value, which is displayed right here, hard-coded into the mix, and then it's perfect all the time. So that is going to wrap up this week at the dry docks. I hope you enjoyed it. A little shorter than usual because I had a lot of time on this thing. Lost, a day and a half on that you didn't see. That's in that other video. But had a great time. We're down to about 2 weeks before Logan is back. I'm really excited about that. Jason said he'll be able to help out a couple days next week, so we're making progress. Things are going good. If you do like what you see, please like and subscribe. It helps us out here a lot. With that, I think we're going to let you go. You have a great rest of your day. On behalf of myself, Bob Martin, the RC Sub Guy, we will catch you next time.